Hello, ladies and gents. It's your girl, Miss Charlotte, and I am back. So I had my first iron infusion. Just left the hospital, and I feel much better. So you know me, I hate excuses, and it's just been a rough couple of weeks. Just lightheaded, nausea, and just no energy. So I just been kind of like, you know, a little down in the dumps and trying to build up my energy. But today they just was like, okay, we need to build your energy up a little faster. So that's why they recommended an infusion, and it was my first one, and I feel better already. So I have a couple of more treatments. I think I have like 3 or 4 more, and then I should be back to 100%. But I do feel much better today, and I just, you know, really didn't want to let you guys down, because I really appreciate my subscribers, and I appreciate everybody that supports me, because we're talking about issues, and we're trying to deal with our issues the best way we can, and we're trying to heal and win. And so anytime anybody is trying to do that, I want to do my best to stay on top of it. So that's why I shared that today, just to let you know I'm not falling off. I'm just trying to take care of my health, because your health is very important. Without your health, you can't do nothing else. But I want to get into what I wanted to talk about. And it's so ironic that as I was getting my transfusion, I was on Instagram and I saw Snoop Dogg's post. And it was like, okay, this is perfect timing, because the issue I wanted to talk about is how we allow our emotions to take over. And sometimes our emotions take over our common sense, and we don't make really good decisions because we're so emotionally triggered, and we let that take over everything. And originally I was going to talk about the whole T.I. and I think her name is Miss Owens, and it was bothering me about the debate, which was at the Revolt Summit. So I'll show a little bit of it here.
Great that we're trying to replicate. Which era was it? Tell me.
I think I'll answer your question. I'm ready to answer your question.
But what I wanted to talk about is how she started out with fatherless communities, and she really wanted to talk about that. But then T.I. came with the racism, and that emotion, when we talk about racism, it takes over. So that emotional charge kind of took over, and they never got back to the fatherless issue. And I just wanted to talk a bit about that, like how we have to learn how to compartmentalize our emotions away from things that are just factual. It's okay to be emotional and to get upset, but we got to learn to stop letting our emotions con us out of staying on the right track. We get off the track so easily. And the reason why this is important is because the powers that be, people who are really good at manipulating, they use our emotions to get by, to get over on us. And sometimes we just are so emotional, it clouds our judgment, and we make decisions based on that, and we ignore the facts. So like, just for instance, going back to that debate, if we could have just left the emotions alone and just dealt with that situation, we probably could have came away with more solutions instead of just more arguing. So it would have been nice if we could have just said, okay, let's talk about why our community is so fatherless. Yes, it has a lot to do with racism, but where is the responsibility and accountability just for us? So for a real example, I'm going to just share. We are not, we don't know how sometimes to have self-control. We want to go out, we want to dress up, we want to look sexy, we want to, you know, have our swag on, we want to drink, we want to smoke, we want to have a good time, and then we want to go back and have sex. sometimes with strangers. And as long as it's all consensual, it's all good. But the problem is we don't have the self-control to put on a condom. And that's on both sides. It takes two people to make a baby, and it takes two people to have an unwanted pregnancy. Okay? So the conversation could have came about with, how can we start having more self-control? When we go out, when we party, ladies, keep a condom on you. Gentlemen, keep a condom on you. Go out, have your fun, but slip on that condom before you have that sex. Yes, I know it feels good to be raw dog. You know, it feels much better. I get that. But you're risking the chance of having an unwanted pregnancy. Forget about the STDs or the STIs. But, you know, if you bring in a child and it's just all about lust, neither one of you love each other, then that's how sometimes fatherless communities happen. So that's what I mean by, let's be very mindful about how we let our emotions trigger us into not facing the reality. So when she asked that question, racism and the emotion on racism took over, and they never addressed the fatherless communities. And so therefore, that issue is going to continue. And that's how we continue to be bamboozled and not moving forward and not coming up with solutions, because we are so easily sidetracked to just be emotional about something that has nothing to do with the issue at hand. So now with Snoop Dogg, I commend him for what he did today.
So with that being said, Gayle King, I publicly tore you down by coming at you in a derogatory manner based off of emotions, me being angry at questions that you asked, overreacted. I should have handled it way different than that. I was raised way better than that. So I would like to apologize to you publicly for the language that I used and calling you out of your name and just being disrespectful. I didn't mean for it to be like that. I was just expressing myself for a friend that wasn't here to defend himself. A lot of people look up to me and they love me and they appreciate me, so I want to let them know that anytime you mess up, it's okay to fix it. It's okay to man up and say that you're wrong. I apologize. Hopefully we can sit down and talk privately. Have a good day.
Yes, what Gayle did was wrong. I don't even know why she had to ask the question. And we all got emotional and we all said some things and we all called her out of her name privately. But Snoop did it publicly because he was in his feelings and he was emotional. And what he was saying was right and it was true. It just wasn't the proper platform to do it, because he himself is a celebrity. He's a role model. So he has to be mindful of his emotions and how he shows it to the public. And it is what it is. I mean, what he said was real talk and it was real emotion, but he has a wife, he has a mother, and he has, you know, a daughter and grandkids. And he had to realize that you can't just say everything you feel out into the public. So I commend him, and I really commend his mom, because his mom was like, all right, I didn't raise you that way. You could feel how you feel, but I don't, you know, I don't respect how you did it. Never call a woman out of her name. Even if she deserve it, you don't do it like that. You don't do it publicly. So as a man, Snoop came back and he allowed, you know, the facts to overcome his emotion, and he came back and he apologized. But you see, he still said we need to sit down privately and talk about it. And that's what I mean. If we can learn how to do that, have your emotions, be upset, but learn how to control it, and then figure out, okay, let's get on track and let's come up with a solution on how to deal with it. And I'm just going to give you another example on the smaller scale on how people who manipulate you and know how to use you for your triggers, how it works. So I'm going to give you this example. Let's say I have a boyfriend and I take his credit card and I go to the mall and I buy me a pair of red bottoms. Okay, so a couple of weeks go by and he realized what I did. Now he wants to confront me and he wants to, you know, have it at me. And I'm going to manipulate him because I know I did wrong, but I don't want to face it. I don't want to be accountable. I don't want to deal with my actions. So I'm going to manipulate him. And when we get into this argument, I'm going to flip the script and I'm going to use a trigger on him. So the trigger could be his baby mama. All I have to say is something about his baby mama, and it's going to trigger him to be emotional. And I'm going to get him off the real subject of me stealing his card and going to get me some red bottoms, and have him and I argue just about how, you know, his baby mama, if he didn't have any kids, he could afford to take me out, he could afford to do this. I'm just going to throw him on this emotional rant, this emotional roller coaster, so that he gets off focus. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about. It's so easy to do it on a small scale. And you may now start thinking about, like, oh yeah, I know somebody that do that to me all the time. What I'm asking you is to think about what your triggers are. And also think about who it is that always try to trigger you. And then start analyzing, what are they getting away with? What are they trying to slide by you? Why are they trying to get you off focus and off track? Okay, and the more you do that, the better you will be at not being conned. Okay, you can start realizing that people are slick and they trying to use you, and they get away with it because they know how to manipulate your emotions. Okay, so kudos to Snoop Dogg for apologizing and admitting that his emotions got the best of him. And the reason why I really want to talk about it and wanted to do this video is because we're about to be in this election, and there's a lot of power players who are master at manipulating. Do not allow them to manipulate you this election. Let your emotions ride, then figure out what they're really saying. Look at facts, because if it's factual, deal with that, and make your decision based on facts. Do not be bamboozled again by emotions and letting them get you off track. That's what I really want to, I wanted to focus on today. And I really wanted to get that message out there because I see how easy it is for us to get off track because of our emotions, and people are getting away with a lot of shit. They getting over on us because we get emotional and we get blind to the facts. So let's stop that. Let's try to figure it out. Let's get better at that. And if you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. Leave it in the comment. You know how we do here. We can agree to disagree. Just don't be mean. Don't be hateful, because you will get deleted. Okay? So again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and follow me on social at Ms. Burley to you. And thank you for all the well wishes for my iron infusion. I am getting better, and I'll be back. See you next week.